we could get an update on to what extent the diversity of the population of Luton is being taken into account when the varying of offer is made, and would there be any perhaps additional consideration required to ensure that the service is benefited from in the appropriate way? So, for example, the last comment that was made regarding the asylum seekers disengaging, that's what I understood. Was there perhaps a reason for this, or was it perhaps down to maybe different, cultural understanding, or those are really the lines that I'm interested to learn more about in terms of diversity of the population of Luton, to what extent is being taken into account in this offering. Thank you.
Colin?
Let me try to deal with that. When the Ukrainian situation, it's not Ukraine, let me step back. When the Afghanistan situation was happening, and Afghan refugees came over into the country, into Luton, we were engaged across the council about that particular issue. And what we decided as a council was that we were not going to pledge any assistance to those Afghan refugees. Now, the reason why we said we decided that was, at the time, Luton had roughly around 30% of all asylum seekers placed in the borough, compared with the rest of the East region, when we only are 2% of the East region. So based on that, and plus with our homeless situation, our continuing homeless situation and the housing needs issues in the borough, and we're an outlier because we've got quite a lot of homeless households and quite a lot of households in temporary accommodation compared with neighbours, etc., we made a decision that we couldn't deal with the additional housing issues, because we would be looking to house those Afghan refugees into the private sector, where they would be competing with indigenous homeless households. And at the time, lots of private landlords were coming out of the woodwork, offering their properties for ridiculously overinflated prices, when they're not prepared to work with us at the moment, unless we give them guaranteed rents for 3 years. So it was a complex picture, but at that point, so I'm only dealing with this particular issue just to give you some flavour of what was going on at the time. We didn't take that decision lightly, but we had to say to the Home Office, you generally cannot be putting 30% of asylum seekers in the borough when you're not housing any elsewhere. So that was that situation. And at the moment, with the Ukrainian situation happening, Ukrainians are turning up at the airport. At this present time, we are administering the Homes for Ukraine scheme, which only involves us getting the parties together who've already agreed to be matched and have been matched, getting those together. But we've also had to place some Ukrainians in some of our hotels, because there isn't a process in place from the Home Office to deal with them. So we're dealing with that situation on a daily basis. So that's just a flavour. But just from a housing point of view, we have to ensure fairness in our housing system and our allocation system. We have to make sure that whoever presents themselves to us, and we've got about 9,000 households on our housing register, it's a points-based or a band-based or a needs-based system. And obviously within that, we have to be conscious that we're not making any decisions that can discriminate against any particular household. So we are very conscious, and frankly, it's an area that is very subject to lots of legal challenge, lots of other challenges, because it's just one of those commodities in life that everybody wants and will do anything to get. And unfortunately, there's lots of fraud in the system, or potential fraud in the system. We've got to be very careful. So fairness, that's the name of the game for us.
Thank you. Alison?
Yeah, so slightly different, obviously. I mean, we worked
really closely with, again, with our housing colleagues, and our sort of family partnership service supported those families, and continue, you know, to support in terms of direct work. And obviously, you know the picture with the education department in terms of those youngsters going into schools and being able to have education. So, you know, those decisions, and that's been an important example of how we need to work together to make sure that we're still offering a level of support to families. In relation specifically to our young people who come to us as unaccompanied asylum seekers, just to reassure Scrutiny that my example related to one, possibly two young people who have really left the area, and we still continue to reach out to, but have moved into other areas. And as I say, we continue to reach out to them. In terms of we can do a wider report for corporate for Scrutiny, or we can do that for Corporate Parenting Board in terms of the offer for our unaccompanied asylum seekers. We are very supportive and in some ways very generous. And the example that I give to you for that is that currently there is a substantial delay with the Home Office progressing young people who should have had their cases heard. We've written to the Home Office and we've highlighted all of those individuals where their status has been delayed, and we have maintained the funding towards them despite those delays. So we're not leaving our children or young people, they're not children, but they're young adults. We're not leaving them vulnerable. We're acting as good corporate parents, but we are pushing back hard to the Home Office to say this is having a detrimental effect on these young people. And we are very active with our colleagues in the Home Office about how we're expressing the fact that this is impacting on their ability in some cases to gain employment, and we are asking for them to consider an approach that means that they can access employment because the delay is with the Home Office, and some of those are above 18 months or more, where they should have had their status and they should have been through due process. So that's a very active debate that we're having at the moment with the Home Office. We meet with our young people every Thursday. They call it Chill In Club. We've got to make sure I say that right. So it's Chilling Club. A lot of our unaccompanied asylum seekers youngsters go there, and there's a really good network we have. We use interpreters. We're very mindful about the number, and we can give you a breakdown in terms of how our workforce reflects also the young people that we're working with, and how we're conscious about culture, but not just culture and diversity, but also the lived experience of young people and their personal story. So how they want to live and what's important to them and what's their views. So something we're really passionate about, and you can members who are interested in maybe going to a chilling club to meet young people, that we can set that up, let us know, and we can organise for you to pop along on a Thursday evening, and they might cook you dinner, they might not. You'll have to take your chances with that one, or they might expect you to turn up with pizza. But it's if you want to know how things are going and you want to get to know what's really happening, then that's where you need to go. We've also got Children in Care Council with this part of the other agenda item, and we've got different age ranges about how we sort of ensure that young people, we consider their lived experience, not their culture, their diversity, and their language. Really important about how we understand their first language. So really passionate. You press my passionate button on that one, and you're welcome to come and meet with our young people. We can plan that and make that happen for you if you'd like to.
Thank you very much. It's always sorry, I'm hearing you back.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's always useful to hear those assurances, because I think if you want to engage meaningfully in this discussion, you have to obviously appreciate all of these boundaries, or if you like barriers to some extent, and understand them. And I'm quite satisfied with both answers. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Wahid?
Thank you, Chair. I would like to take that offer. You know, as a corporate parent, I would love to meet and see their viewpoint. I've seen the offices, and it'd be wonderful to meet up some. And you know, yeah, thank you. If any other members, it's open. If you want to come and chilling club, yeah.
So,
on Thursday. What about
actually,
you, Jeff?
I was waiting for I think Mohammed Al Hamrahi to finish, and I didn't realize that Yasmin has raised her hand. I really wanted to be part of this, Thursday, the chill one, so to involve ourselves and see, what difference we can make and what, the expertise we have, we can utilize with yourselves, and we'll take the things from there.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I think because the minute is Ramadan, so I think after the Ramadan, I will look forward to be part of this.
I think that's right. I think
Thank
for
you.
them as well, that would be good timing.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? No? Okay, so I think we note the content of the report. Thank you both for the report and for your responding to our questions. Thank you. We'll move on to the next item of the agenda, which is, bear with me, item 10, which is the Corporate Parenting Partnership Board Terms of Reference. This was circulated separate to the agenda as a separate attachment, and this is with, is it Amanda? Is that with you?
I think Ali's going to helpfully take this. A huge amount of work has been done jointly by Ali's team and Democratic Services, so I think it's a good news story to say.
Yes, I was just trying to pull the document up in so it's in front of me, but I think you've already, we've, as agreed with the Corporate Parenting Partnership previously, and those of you that were involved in it previously, we've taken the previous process, and we've looked at where we can sharpen some of those processes and how we ensure that you have, as members, you have that oversight and that challenge and support in through the corporate parenting board. So it's about just really reframing some of the good work that we were doing before, and then strengthening that to ensure that our new Children in Care Council and our Care Leavers Forum, Young People's Voice, come into the board, but equally that the board have that oversight and that, as I say, the golden thread through into services to have a rolling programme in terms of how you bring deep dives, challenges, and then that kind of linking back to scrutiny. So it may be that here that you identify, for instance, where you want to have more information. So similar conversations that we've had, and you might actually want to drill down in those areas. You might want to meet with young people. You might want to meet with the communities, etc. So I think it's the starting point of building all the good work that you've been doing, and then just strengthening that approach so that we're able to kind of realign with the way that we've strengthened our Children in Care Council. So that's all of our children in care now, that you're able to sort of pick up their voice, will link with the foster carers, etc., and also building on what was the Young People's Partnership, which is now our Care Leavers Forum. So you get our young adults, but you also get our littlies as well, and our permanency processes, adoption, etc. So I think it strengthens all the work that you've been doing, and then it aligns clearly to how that's feeds into those demographic processes that allow you to demonstrate your line of sight and safe and supportive challenge into the services being delivered. And I'm happy to take any questions. I'm not going to go through the report.
Oh, no problem. Councillor Petts.
Reading through this, it obviously dovetails very nicely into the pledge, doesn't it? and I was pleased to see that. But I'm not seeing many pledge things around the place at the moment.
No, that's a fair challenge. I'll get onto that. I mean, I think we all need, we're coming back, and it's some of the things we're doing and that we've been doing in the last couple of weeks is around making sure that the environment now is, you know, the actual physical environment is refreshed and reflects the work that we're doing. And part of our ongoing work in terms of the business plan, which is to ask ourselves really as the whole council, but also key with members around what are we doing about our pledges. So what do we need to do?
Yeah, I was involved with the children's corporate, you know, the before it was ACT.
Yeah, yeah.
And I thought that was a very good forum for them to come forward with ideas, and they certainly did. And you know, it was the pushing of the children that made us, you know, think about the pledge. And
well, members
members
are open to come to, you know, our Children in Care Council and our forum again, so we can again we can strengthen that. We can come back to, let's have a relook at our pledge. Let's see how you can help us again.
Yeah, great, thank you.
Amanda?
Just to add on to what Ali was saying, I mean, I think that there's been some really, really good work, Ali, hasn't there, about, as Ali's just described, strengthening the corporate parenting commitment. So it's more parenting and less corporate. So that, and one of the areas that Ali has previously taken forward that we've had the commitment of the leader and the portfolio holder to progress is about every member making a promise to, and we build a set of promises up, and post our ILACS inspection. That's what we'd really, really like to do. So it builds, Councillor Petts, on what you're saying there. So depending on what your own skill or area of expertise or where you're connected, it might be that you're going to offer a cooking lesson, or it might be that you're the chairperson of the sports, the golf club, and you can offer a round of golf. So, or it might be that it's a teaching lesson on maths. It doesn't matter how big or how small it is. It might be that you're on the Luton Football Club board of trustees, and you can organise a training set. Whatever you have the creative means to commit to as a parent, then that's what you're going to you offer. And we bring all of those pledges from all of our elected members, which I think is a really important part of the next stage of our work, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's a really good point. Thanks, Amanda. I think it's about how we describe the Luton family, and it's how you think about how your own family and family network, you kind of know in your family and family network who the person is that you might need to go and ask. So if you want to change a fuse in a plug, you'll know the best person that can do that for you, or you know, painting or whatever the question is. You'll get directed, you know, if you know, by within my case, I'm thinking about my case, my mother will say, well, why don't you go and ask Auntie Jean? She's good at that, she'll help you. And that's what we want to create. We want to create that they feel, our children in care and our care leavers feel the weight of the family around them, and that so those pledges can be, as Amanda said, something as small as something that you're interested in, and it may be a hobby that you think, I'm quite happy to share what I get out of that as a conversation with a young person, or it might actually be physically, look, I can show you how to change a fuse in a plug and how you can do that safely. So there's lots of ideas or iron a shirt. That's, isn't it? It's really important to be able to iron a shirt when you're getting ready to start work. So some really small, but also, as Amanda said, some really good other, you know, wider things. So if we don't want to, we're going to create an event, and we're going to ask everyone to come with their promises as a part of the pledges, and then we'll be following up with everybody to say, did it work? How did you get on? Were you able to, you know, work with someone or even with a group to take forward your pledge?
Thank you. Councillor Kershid?
Thank you, Chair. I'm very much happy to support that and looking forward to be engaged and being a part of this process. Thank you.
We will be leaning on the corporate parenting board for ambassadors really to help us really drive this forward. So yeah, and all members that are, you know, that just interested in really coming forward. So thank you very much. Really grateful for all of your support.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll certainly echo Councillor Kershid's comment there. Any other comments or questions? Just a couple of minor comments for me. Just looking at the content of the report, I understand it's draft. There's mention in Appendix A of Councillor Rivers, who resigned a while ago, so that section might need to be updated. And I assume that the members are obviously assigned to this annual full council, aren't they? Yeah.
I think that was the dilemma, really. So it's just that will need to be updated. Thank you, Chair.
No problem. Thank you. I think there are no other comments or questions. So yeah, thank you for the report, and I think we note the content. Thank you. Moving on to the next, and I think final item of the agenda, if I'm right, is the item 11, which is the draft work plan, which is on page 178. Let me find it myself. Okay, so we've got the work plan for the next meeting, which will be on 22nd of June. The Children's Services Improvement Plan, the National Care Leavers Programme, and the Drugs and Alcohol Strategy. And then obviously subsequent meetings, we haven't got. We've got a few draft items there, but obviously we will continue to review and add and move items to the agenda. If committee is happy to progress with certainly for the agenda for June, or if there are any comments, please do let me know. No comments. Good. Oh, Amanda.
I mean, just for accuracy, the report author will be Ali Parkinson. It won't be Mark Riddell. He's the DFE national lead, but the responsible lead for our Care Leavers Ambitious Plan is actually the chief exec. So it's Robin Porter, because we want to progress the overall corporate ownership and set of responsibilities, because it's about collectively a Team Luton approach. So it would just be helpful if we could just amend that, please. Thanks.
Sure. Noted. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. Thanks for everyone's input.
Thanks, everyone. Cheers.
Thank you, Chair.